Hands back! State the reason! You kept talking!
She was asking a question.
Stay out of it!
What law did I break?
You don't get to question me! She did nothing! Loosen the right cuff.
Stop giving orders.
It is pressing into my watch.
I can adjust it. No.
No. Your camera's recording?
Yes.
Don't answer her. Keep it on.
You're making this worse. That is my daughter. Stay inside.
Mom, don't come out!
Why are they holding you?
Tell her to cooperate.
She is cooperating. Sir, everyone can see this.
Walk to the car.
On what charge?
Disorderly conduct, talking back. That is not enough. Are you challenging me too? Nobody asked you.
Record every word. Open it with him present.
I know how to search a pocket. Let me see the card. Back off. Verify the number. This could be fake. That seal is official. You suddenly an expert?
Call the number. Get in the car.
Her phone keeps ringing. Ignore it. My mother is inside. She knows where you are.
The caller says secure command.
Put it face down.
You should answer.
Why would I make her call her? Drive.
It says protected check-in missed.
Leave it.
An alert was sent.
To who?
Answer the next call.
Drive.
What is this credential?
Unit 12, hold position.
What now?
I don't shake hands with people who haven't earned a seat at this table, the CEO said, leaving the black woman's hand suspended beneath the chandelier as 12 executives watched. Why did no one speak when he ordered security to remove her? Why did she calmly place a sealed folder beside his nameplate instead of defending herself? And why, less than an hour later, did the company's board secretary lock the doors and ask the CEO to remain seated? He thought she was a minor investor he could humiliate without consequence. He had no idea whose signature was already waiting inside that folder, or what it would cost him before the night was over. Stay until the final vote. Howard Dean reached Amina before the echo of Graham's order had faded. "Ma'am, step away from the table." Amina did not move. The chandelier hummed above them. Rain drew silver lines across the windows. She looked at Graham, then at the sealed folder beside his nameplate. "Please confirm that Appendix 7 is entered into the record," she said. Graham laughed. "There is no Appendix 7. Elaine Cho, the 59-year-old board secretary, leaned forward. Her silver-framed glasses caught the light as she studied the red legal strip across the folder. "That seal is from outside counsel," she said. Graham turned. "Do not open it." Elaine's fingers stopped an inch from the packet. Howard shifted beside Amina. He was broad-shouldered, 45, with a careful voice. "I need you to come with me now." "Am I being removed from the meeting?" "From the room." "Until after the vote," Graham added. Amina's thin gold watch ticked against her wrist. She lowered the hand he had refused to take and lifted her brown leather portfolio. The paper visitor badge on her charcoal jacket peeled at one corner. "You have received notice," she told Elaine. Celeste Rowan stepped closer. Her dark blue dress was immaculate, but one thumb rubbed the edge of her phone case. "Ms. Carter, you were invited as an observer. You're not authorized to interrupt board procedure. I asked that a filed document be read. You challenged the chair. I asked him to read." No one answered. Daniel Ruiz capped his pen twice. Naomi Reed stared at her tablet. One investor lifted his glass, saw the water trembling, and set it down. Graham pointed to the doors. "This performance is over." Amina turned to Howard. "Lead the way." The doors opened onto a colder corridor. The carpet smelled faintly of rain and floor polish. Air from the vents touched her neck. Behind her, Elaine spoke. "Mr. Vale, if the document was properly served—" "It wasn't?" "You haven't examined it." "I said it wasn't." The doors began to close. Amina looked back once. Elaine still watched the seal. Graham had placed his palm over the folder. In the corridor, Howard walked half a step behind her. "I'm sorry," he said. "For which part?" He had no answer. They passed reception, where Jessa Miller stood with the registration binder open. The administrator's face had gone pale. "Ms. Carter, your invitation code matched a restricted ownership file." Howard slowed. Celeste appeared behind them. "Jessa, close the binder." "But the code—" "Now." Jessa obeyed, slipping one finger between the pages before the cover shut. Amina noticed. At the security alcove, Howard opened a metal locker. "Phone and access card, please." "My phone is already inside." A black phone vibrated against the steel, stopped, then started again. The screen showed Darius Carter. Amina reached for it. Howard closed the locker door. "Orders," he said. The vibration continued behind the metal. Inside the boardroom, a chair scraped. Elaine's voice carried through the wall. "I am asking one final time. May I open Appendix 7? Graham answered at once. "No." The red light above the boardroom door switched on. The vote had begun. 9 hours earlier, at 10:03 a.m., Amina parked across from Crownwell's oldest production building and waited for the shift horn. Mist clung to the fence. Diesel fumes mixed with wet leaves as workers crossed the lot. Their boots struck the pavement in an uneven rhythm. Amina opened her brown leather portfolio and removed an employee badge sealed in cracked plastic. Samuel Carter, Machine Division, 1991. Her father's photograph had faded at the edges. "You still carry that?" Darius Carter stood beside the car, 38, broad-shouldered, with grease beneath one thumbnail and a reflective jacket open over his work shirt. Amina rubbed her thumb across the worn photograph. "You still sneak up on people?" "You were watching the gate." "I was counting." "How many?" "Enough." The horn sounded. Metal doors rolled upward with a grinding shudder. Warm air carrying machine oil and hot dust moved across the lot. Darius glanced toward the entrance. Management posted another meeting notice. "For when?" 4:30. Supervisors only." "What are people hearing?" "That the plant closes before winter." Inside, presses thumped behind insulated walls. Fluorescent lights buzzed above them, and the concrete trembled faintly through Amina's shoes. Darius led her past dented lockers. One door still had Sam Carter scratched into the paint. "They never reassigned it," he said. "Why?" "No one wanted to erase him." A strip of gray masking tape remained beneath the name. Amina touched it, then withdrew her hand. "The pension office called 3 families yesterday," Darius said. "Corrections?" "Delays." "How long?" "They wouldn't say." A forklift beeped around the corner. They stepped aside as a pallet rolled past, smelling of oil and hot rubber. Darius lowered his voice. "Can you stop the closure?" "I can make sure the people voting understand what they're approving." "That sounds careful." "It is." Dad used to sound careful before doing something impossible. Amina looked at the old locker. Dad trusted careful people. Darius's mouth tightened. Samuel's final pension letter had arrived 6 days after his funeral. Amina still kept the unopened envelope in her desk. Darius pulled a folded sheet from his jacket. A draft closure notice. Company seal at the top. No signature. No date. "Where did you get this?" "Copy room tray." "Who saw it?" "2 supervisors." "Keep their names off messages." "You think management will punish them?" "I think frightened people protect decisions before they protect workers." A buzzer cracked over the intercom. "Maintenance to line 4. Darius folded the notice. "You're going to headquarters tonight?" "Yes." "In that suit?" Amina glanced at the damp shoulder of her charcoal jacket. "Is there a problem?" "They won't see you." "They'll see enough." He gave a short laugh. "That building forgot this place exists." Amina placed the draft beside her father's badge and closed the portfolio. "Then I'll bring the place with me." Darius's phone rang. He answered, listened, and stopped beneath the green exit sign. "What happened?" Amina asked. He lowered the phone slowly. "They're printing 1,240 envelopes." At 10:17 a.m., Graham Vale stood before the conference screen while a red figure glowed at the bottom of the forecast. "Remove that slide," he said. Daniel Ruiz stayed beside the laptop. "It shows the pension exposure. It shows panic. It shows liability." Graham adjusted the cufflinks his father had worn during Crownwell's first offering. "Investors are here for a recovery plan, not a funeral." Celeste Rowan entered with a seating chart and 3 folders. At 47, she moved with clipped precision. "The reception list is final," she said, "except for Amina Carter." "The regional fund?" "Meridian Renewal Partners." "Same thing." Daniel looked up. Their information request was unusually detailed. Celeste placed Amina's photograph beside the chart. A black woman in a charcoal suit. No entourage. She asked for the full board packet. Denied. She cited participation rights. She has observer status. Daniel closed the forecast. Her invitation code resembles ownership review codes. Has legal confirmed that? No. Then there is nothing to discuss. Outside the glass wall, staff rolled flowers toward the elevators. "Seat her near the service doors," Graham said. Celeste hesitated. "That may be noticeable." "Good. People behave better when they understand distance." Daniel's chair wheels squeaked. "Delay the vote until outside counsel confirms the timeline." "We delay. The lenders call the covenant." "And if the transaction already closed?" Graham's fingers stopped at his cuff. "It hasn't." "You're certain?" "My office would know." Celeste and Daniel exchanged a look. "My father built this company with 6 machines," Graham said. "I will not surrender it because 1/4 went badly." 3/4, Daniel replied. The ventilation clicked off. Only the wall clock remained. Graham walked to the window. Rain darkened the plaza around the company seal. The plant closes. The debt ratio improves. The board approves the consulting transition. We gain 12 months. "The consulting firm belongs to Martin Hale," Daniel said. "A former colleague." "Your former business partner." Graham faced him. "Choose your next sentence carefully." Daniel capped his pen. "There is no next sentence." Celeste slid over a revised presentation. The pension slide was gone. So was the page listing 1,240 positions. Graham checked the numbers. 14 to 16. Where is 15? Removed. "The packet is archived," Celeste said. "Then let the gap remain." At 10:31, Naomi Reed appeared in the doorway with a tablet pressed to her chest. "There's a secure upload from outside counsel," she said. "It references Appendix 7. Celeste went still. Graham held out his hand. "Delete it from the presentation queue." "Shouldn't Mr. Ruiz review it?" "No." Her thumb hovered over the screen. Graham softened his voice. "You want to stay in strategy, don't you?" Naomi tapped twice. The file vanished from the visible queue, but a small cloud icon remained. "Done," she said. After she left, Graham straightened his cufflinks. "Tonight, nothing unexpected enters that boardroom." On Celeste's chart, Amina Carter's name had already been moved beside the service doors. At 5:46 p.m., the lobby doors sighed open and released a gust of rain behind Amina. She folded her umbrella into the brass stand. Marble reflected the chandelier. Behind reception, a printer ran. Jessa Miller looked up. She was 34 and wore copper-framed glasses. "Ms. Carter?" "Yes." Jessa checked the invitation, then the monitor. "I have you listed as an observer." "That is not the access level on my invitation." "I know. Your code opens a restricted ownership file, but the profile changed this afternoon." "By whom?" "I can't see from here." Celeste Rowan arrived before Jessa could turn the screen. "Good evening. We prepared a visitor credential." She placed a paper badge on the counter. Visitor. Escort required. My invitation authorizes board access. Tonight's agenda changed. Who changed it? The chief executive's office. Jessa touched the keyboard. I could call legal. That won't be necessary, Celeste said. The printer stopped. Rain against the glass sounded louder. Amina pressed the badge to her charcoal jacket. One corner lifted. Where should I wait? The service elevators. Two investors crossed the lobby. Jessa greeted them by name and handed them metal-backed badges. Amina stepped aside. The service corridor smelled of floor cleaner. A catering cart rattled past with trays warm with rosemary. Amina checked her watch. 5:53. 7 minutes passed. The indicator fell from 12 to 9, then climbed without stopping. Amina removed her father's badge, brushed the faded photograph, and returned it between the closure notice and acquisition papers. Naomi Reed hurried around the corner with a tablet. Ms. Carter, why are you here? I was told someone would collect me. Naomi studied the badge. That can't be right. What does my invitation code mean? I'm not authorized to interpret it. But you recognize it. Celeste's heels clicked across the tile. Naomi, the presentation room needs you. Naomi stayed put. Her code matches the acquisition packet. You are mistaken. I uploaded it this morning and removed it. From the queue, not the archive. Celeste stepped between them. Go upstairs. The elevator opened. Naomi entered, then turned her tablet outward before they closed. A cloud icon glowed beside Appendix 7. Amina saw it. So did Celeste. Your staff appears uncertain about my status, Amina said. My staff understands hierarchy. Hierarchy is not ownership. Celeste's thumb rubbed her phone case. The main elevator chimed. Investors emerged. You may attend, Celeste said, provided you remain an observer. And if I ask a question? Mr. Vale will decide whether you stay. Jessa approached with the registration binder. I need a signature. Celeste reached for the page, but Jessa turned it toward Amina first. Beside her name was a code beginning C-62. Amina signed. Jessa drew one line beneath the entry before closing the binder. Celeste escorted Amina toward the reception doors. Behind them, Jessa reopened the book and photographed the page. Warm music rolled into the corridor as Amina stepped beneath the chandelier. Jessa stared at the photograph. The code beside Amina's name was not marked Observer. It was marked Control. At 6:18 p.m., Graham began before every seat was filled. The Charlotte plant closes on December 1st, he said. The decision protects liquidity, lenders, and Crownwell's future. Amina sat near the service doors. Her paper badge had peeled halfway from her jacket. Her portfolio rested between her shoes. Daniel advanced the slide. A blue bar read, Operational Consolidation. Pension and employee totals were absent. Amina raised one hand. Questions follow the presentation, Graham said. This one affects it. His remote stopped clicking. Proceed. What amount was removed from the pension stabilization reserve in August? Daniel's pen rotated once. Graham smiled toward the investors. Ms. Carter represents a small regional position. Her concern is outside tonight's agenda. The amount? Celeste shifted behind his chair. Those figures are confidential. Amina placed one page on the table. $8,400,000. Daniel stopped turning the pen. The projector fan whispered above them. Graham looked at the page. Where did you get that? Is it wrong? You are not entitled to internal schedules. That is not an answer. Naomi stood beside the screen. Daniel cleared his throat. The reserve funded a transition expense. Which transition? Graham clicked forward. The consultation program required to close an outdated facility. Martin Hale Advisory? A chair creaked. Celeste's thumb pressed into her phone case. Graham lowered the remote. Address questions through the chair. I did. You are creating suspicion. Amina folded the page. Then disclosed the relationship. Daniel looked at Graham. Graham looked at Celeste. Naomi spoke. The vendor disclosure page was removed from the final packet. Celeste turned. That was not your determination to make. It was page 15. There is no page 15, Graham said. The sequence goes from 14 to 16. Paper rustled around the table. A formatting error, Graham said. Amina opened her copy. Formatting errors rarely remove signatures. She slid page 16 toward Elaine. A footnote referenced consultant authorization detailed on the preceding page. Elaine read it twice. The board should receive the missing disclosure before any vote. The board has received everything material. Then, restoring one page should take seconds. Graham stood. His water glass trembled. This meeting is being redirected by someone whose ownership position does not justify the interruption. Amina met his eyes. What do you believe my position is? Celeste answered first. Less than 1%. Based on which filing? No one replied. Daniel opened a secure directory. Graham shut the laptop with one hand. Enough. Amina remained seated. You're asking 12 people to approve a closure without the pension transfer, the vendor relationship, or the final ownership schedule. You came here to observe. I came here to vote. Naomi's tablet chimed. The cloud archive had restored Appendix 7. Executed. Graham saw it. Delete that. Naomi's finger hovered above the screen. Amina watched her, not him. Check the signature page first. Naomi opened the file. Her face changed first. Naomi's face changed first. Executed at 4:02 p.m., the acquiring entity holds 62% of voting shares. Graham locked the tablet. An unverified upload does not alter tonight's agenda. Elaine removed her glasses. Then verify it. The reception begins in 6 minutes. Amina closed her portfolio. 6 minutes is enough. Graham looked around. We proceed. At 6:31, the doors opened. Music drifted in with the guests. Graham greeted each investor by name and clasped every offered hand. The missing disclosure vanished beneath Celeste's folders. Amina waited near the service doors, her paper badge curling from her jacket. When Graham reached her, she stood and extended her hand. His eyes dropped to the badge. I don't shake hands with people who haven't earned a seat at this table. Daniel studied the carpet. Elaine held her glass without drinking. Only rain ticked against the windows. Amina lowered her hand. Water quivered in the glass beside her. Her fingers stayed still. Then perhaps we should discuss how seats are earned. Not tonight. You intend to vote on closing the plant. That is not reception conversation. It becomes everyone's conversation when 1,240 jobs disappear from a presentation. Celeste stepped between them. Miss Carter, the full packet was distributed. A shortened packet was distributed. Graham raised his glass. You represent a regional fund with a minor position. You are here as a courtesy. Amina removed one sheet. What percentage of the pension reserve was redirected to Martin Hale Advisory? That information is confidential, Daniel said. So the transfer exists. Graham set down his glass. You were warned this afternoon. You are disrupting a lawful meeting. I asked a financial question. You challenged my authority. No. I asked where the money went. One investor stared into her drink. Naomi angled her tablet against her hip and touched the recording icon. Graham noticed. What are you doing? Checking the presentation queue. Do it without staring at me. Jessa appeared with the registration binder. Mr. Vale, there may be an error in the access list. There isn't. The code beside Ms. Carter's name is marked Control. Celeste stepped forward. Close the binder. But the ownership file? Now. The cover creaked beneath Jessa's fingers. Amina folded the sheet. Before the vote, read Appendix 7. Graham's jaw tightened. Security. Howard Dean entered. Ma'am, I need you to come with me. Am I being removed from the building? From this room. Until when? Graham answered. Until the vote is finished. Elaine pushed back her chair. If her code grants participation rights, removing her could invalidate. You are the secretary, Graham said. Record the vote. Amina placed the sealed packet beside his nameplate. The red legal strip caught the light. Appendix 7, she repeated. Howard opened the door. Cold air carried the smell of floor polish into the room. Amina walked out without looking back. Behind her, Naomi's tablet gave one soft chime. Recording saved. Jessa looked directly at her. Naomi knew she had not been the only witness. Howard let the boardroom doors close before he spoke. This way, Ms. Carter. At 6:39 p.m., the corridor felt 10 degrees colder than the reception. Fluorescent panels buzzed above gray tile that smelled of floor polish and rain. Amina walked beside him. Where are you taking me? Security alcove. For what reason? I was told to restrict your access until the vote concludes. By Mr. Vale? Howard's jaw shifted. By the chief executive's office. They passed the service elevators. Behind the boardroom wall, voices blurred into a low murmur. Amina stopped. How long does the vote take? 10 minutes. Longer if they debate. Her phone vibrated inside the metal locker ahead. Once, twice, then 3 times. Howard unlocked the alcove. Your device remains secured until you leave this floor. That call is from the plant. I can't release it. You can note that I requested access. Say the time. 6:41. He opened a paper log and wrote with a pen chained to the desk. The chain clicked against the metal. The phone vibrated again. Amina could see Darius Carter through the narrow glass panel. She reached toward the locker, but Howard closed the outer door. Orders, he said. Orders are not the same as rules. No, ma'am. Inside the boardroom, a chair scraped hard enough to carry through the wall. Elaine's voice rose. I am asking whether Appendix 7 has been entered into the record. Graham answered, muffled but sharp. It has not. Amina stepped toward the frosted glass. Shadows moved behind it. Howard lowered his voice. You knew this would happen. I knew the documents were complete. That isn't what I asked. No, I did not know he would remove me before reading them. The phone buzzed again, then stopped. Amina's fingers tightened around her portfolio. At the plant, 1,240 envelopes were waiting. Darius would be under the green exit sign, deciding whether to calm the workers or tell them the truth. Howard noticed her grip. Is someone in danger? People are about to lose years of their lives on paper. He looked toward the locker. I can place the phone on speaker without handing it over. Do it. He opened the compartment. Cold metal touched Amina's wrist as she leaned in. The screen showed 6 missed calls and 1 message. They started handing them out. Before Howard could tap the call icon, Celeste appeared at the end of the corridor. What are you doing? Documenting a request, Howard said. Close the locker. The call concerns the plant. The vote concerns the plant. That is why she cannot interfere. Amina turned. Interfere with what? Celeste stopped 3 feet away, her thumb pressed into her phone case. With governance. Governance does not require silence. It requires order. Behind the wall, Elaine spoke again. Then I want my objection recorded. A second voice followed, Daniel's. So do I. Celeste's eyes flicked towards the boardroom door. Amina heard the lock engage from the other side. The music from reception cut off, leaving only the ventilation hum. Howard closed the locker slowly, but left the key in it. Then the red light above the boardroom door began to flash. The red light above the boardroom door flashed twice, then went dark. Howard looked at the key resting in the locker. Take your phone, he said. Celeste stepped forward. You do not have authority to release it. Howard opened the metal door anyway. Then record my name. Amina lifted the phone. 6 missed calls. 1 message from Darius. They started handing them out. She called him. He answered over the roar of the plant. Where have you been? Locked outside the vote. Paper tore near him. They gave the first envelopes to line 4, he said. People are opening them at their machines. Tell them not to sign anything. They're asking whether tomorrow's shift exists. Amina closed her eyes for one breath. The fluorescent light buzzed above her. Say this exactly. The closure is not final. Is that true? Yes. Can you prove it? Not from this corridor. Darius lowered his voice. They're watching me. Then don't make a speech. Walk to Dad's locker and wait. The call ended. Celeste held out her hand. The phone. Amina returned it to the locker, but kept the key. Give me that, Celeste said. You may request it in writing. Her expression cracked. You think paperwork protects you? No, it shows who chose what. The boardroom door opened. Naomi slipped through and pulled it shut behind her. Her breath came fast. They're trying to proceed without the ownership schedule. What did Elaine do? She refused to certify the vote. And Daniel? He said the numbers were incomplete. Celeste moved toward her. Go back inside. Naomi did not move. She held out folded emails. I printed these before the archive was locked. Amina took them. The top message was from Graham to Celeste. Remove Carter before final motion. Another instructed Daniel to call the closure unavoidable, despite a funded alternative. Howard read the subject line and looked away. Who else has copies? Amina asked. Me, Jessa, the cloud archive, unless they disabled it. A sharp click came from Amina's portfolio. She opened it. Her father's badge had bent beneath the folders. A thin crack crossed the plastic over Samuel Carter's face. The corridor seemed to narrow. Amina sat on the bottom stair beside the service door. She touched the crack with one fingernail. For 27 years, Samuel had entered Crownwell before sunrise. He had trusted forms, supervisors, and promises printed on heavy paper. His corrected pension statement had arrived after his funeral. Naomi crouched beside her. I'm sorry. Amina said nothing. Behind the wall, Graham's voice rose. Call the motion. Elaine replied, There will be no certified motion without the controlling shareholder. Celeste turned toward the door. Amina stood. She placed the damaged badge inside her jacket, over her heart, then handed the emails to Howard. Make copies. For whom? Everyone who claims they did not know. Howard took the pages. Naomi opened her tablet. The archive just came back online. A notification filled the screen. Transfer confirmed. Control effective 4:02 p.m. Then another appeared. Board Counsel requesting immediate access. Amina looked at the closed doors. This time, someone inside unlocked them. The boardroom doors opened 6 inches. Elaine Cho stood in the gap, one hand on the lock. Ms. Carter, Outside counsel is on the secure line. Graham's voice cut across the room. Close that door. Elaine opened it wider. At 6:52 p.m., 12 executives sat beneath the chandelier. The sealed packet remained beside Graham's nameplate, his palm resting over it. Amina entered with Naomi and Howard behind her. Remove them, Graham said. Howard stayed still. No, sir. Amina crossed the carpet. She did not sit. Elaine lifted the packet. I am entering this into the record over the chair's objection. You have no authority. I have a duty to preserve documents served on the board. The red legal strip tore with a dry snap. Inside were a transfer confirmation and an ownership schedule marked executed. Elaine reached for the secure phone. A red indicator glowed beside the speaker. Rebecca Sloan? She asked. Independent board counsel speaking. Can you verify the effective time? 4:02 p.m. Eastern. Meridian Renewal Partners acquired 62% of Crownwell's voting shares. Daniel opened his laptop. Bank reference? Rebecca dictated it. His fingers struck the keys, then stopped. The indicator changed from red to green. Confirmed, Daniel said. Graham laughed once. A transfer does not appoint a chair. The executed consent does, Rebecca replied. Section 9, page 11. Elaine turned the pages. We were not informed, Celeste said. Naomi unfolded the email. You were informed at 10:28 this morning. That file was unverified. It came from the counsel speaking now. Celeste's thumb stopped rubbing her phone case. Howard placed his log beside Elaine. At 6:41, Ms. Carter requested a call concerning the plant. I denied it under instructions from the chief executive's office. You were enforcing security, Graham said. I was preventing a voting shareholder from participating. Amina's phone vibrated. Howard gave it to her. She answered. I'm here. They're at Dad's locker, Darius said over the machinery. No one signed. Keep them there 10 more minutes. Did you stop it? Amina looked at the faces around the table. Not yet. She placed the phone beside her father's cracked badge. Elaine read on. The controlling shareholder may appoint the executive chair immediately upon closing. Graham pushed back his chair. This is an ambush. Amina looked at him. My name appears 14 times in the materials your office received. You concealed your position. I arrived with the correct credentials. Your staff replaced them. Jessa entered holding the registration binder. I photographed the original entry before it was altered. She opened to the page marked C-62. Control. Celeste closed her eyes. Rebecca's voice returned. Suspend the pending motion, preserve all records, and recognize the new chair before further business. Elaine reached for the brass nameplate at the head of the table. Graham covered it with both hands. Rain touched the windows. Then Daniel shut the closure presentation. Elaine looked at Amina. Madam Chair, shall I call the room to order? Amina glanced at the green light on the secure phone. Yes, she said, and lock the doors. The locks clicked around the boardroom. Elaine lifted the brass nameplate from beneath Graham's hands. The closure motion is suspended. Graham remained standing. You cannot suspend a vote based on a phone call and a folder. Rebecca Sloan's voice came through the speaker. The transfer documents are verified. Elaine turned the nameplate toward Amina. Chair. Graham laughed once. This is theater. Amina removed her paper visitor badge. The adhesive pulled softly from her jacket. She placed it beside the ownership schedule. No, she said. This is the record. Celeste shifted toward the door. Howard blocked it. No one leaves until document preservation is complete, Rebecca said. Daniel reopened his laptop. The funds cleared at 4:02. Voting control transferred immediately. Graham pointed at Amina. She concealed who she was. My name appears 14 times in the material your office received. You arrived without counsel. I arrived with credentials. Jessa opened the binder. Her original code was changed at 3:17 p.m. By whose login? Elaine asked. Jessa swallowed. Ms. Rowan's. Celeste looked at Graham. He did not return the glance. Amina's phone vibrated beside the cracked badge. She silenced it. Before we discuss titles, cancel the closure notices. Daniel reached for the desk phone. Graham struck the table with his palm. Every glass trembled. You do not understand this company. Amina waited until the water settled. My father worked line 3 for 27 years. My brother runs maintenance on line 4. I reviewed your debt, pension reserve, vendor contracts, and the alternative plan you omitted. Personal history does not qualify you to run this company. No, the acquisition does. Daniel spoke into the phone. Stop all notice distribution, effective immediately. Amina called Darius. They stopped, he said over the machinery. Collect every envelope already handed out. Are we safe? For tonight. Someone near him began to clap, but the call ended before it spread. Elaine pulled the chair at the head of the table away from Graham. Its legs whispered over the carpet. Madam Chair, the seat is yours. Graham did not move. For several seconds, only rain and the projector fan filled the room. Then Daniel carried his laptop to the opposite side. Naomi followed. The path cleared. Graham stepped back. Amina sat, her portfolio at her right hand and her father's damaged badge at her left. I am not asking this board to punish anyone tonight, she said. I am asking it to preserve evidence and prevent irreversible harm. Graham folded his arms. And tomorrow? Tomorrow, an independent review begins. Elaine started a new page in the minutes. Amina looked toward Naomi. Save the reception recording in 3 locations. Jessa, copy the access log. Yes, ma'am. Howard, preserve every instruction you received. He placed his written log on the table. Celeste lowered herself into a chair. You've already decided what happened. Amina turned the brass nameplate toward the room. No, that is why none of you are leaving with the files. Naomi opened the saved recording. A waveform filled her screen. Then Graham's voice entered the locked boardroom. Graham's recorded voice filled the room. You are here as a courtesy. No one moved. Graham sat 3 seats from the speaker, his microphone dark. Elaine marked the time. Recording entered at 7:04 p.m. Turn it off, Graham said. Amina looked at Naomi. Continue. The next line played. You challenged my authority. Then Amina's answer. No, I asked where the money went. Daniel's fingers slipped on his pen. Celeste folded her hands until one knuckle whitened. Rebecca Sloan spoke through the secure phone. The recording, altered access log, and missing disclosure require an independent review. Graham leaned toward his dead microphone. You already have your conclusion. Amina switched it on. No, you have a chance to provide evidence. At 7:11, Martin Kell joined by encrypted video. He was 61, gray-haired, and unsmiling. Who preserved the files? Naomi Reed, Amina said. Who controlled access? Celeste Rowan's office, Jessa answered. Who ordered Ms. Carter removed? Howard opened his log. The Chief Executive's office. Instruction relayed by Ms. Rowan. Martin faced Graham. Do you dispute that? I dispute the characterization. Then characterize it. Graham adjusted a cufflink. A disruptive observer was excluded from a sensitive meeting. Elaine held up the ownership schedule. She was the controlling shareholder. That was not known to me. Naomi slid over the morning email. Delivered at 10:28. The room smelled of bitter coffee and damp wool. Rain whispered against the dark windows. Amina placed both palms on the table. The review will cover more than tonight. Meaning? The pension transfer, consulting contract, closure plan, and every instance in which warnings were removed or participants excluded. Celeste's chair creaked. You said this was about procedure. It is. Procedure decides whose facts reach the room. Martin nodded. I need 24 months of board packets, calendar edits, security directives, and vendor approvals. Daniel looked at Graham. That exposes internal discussions. That is the purpose, Martin said. Amina's phone buzzed. Darius had sent a photograph of unopened envelopes beneath the green exit sign. She turned the screen face down. I am not dismissing anyone tonight. You want leverage, Graham replied. I want records intact. And when you have them? Then decisions will reflect what people did, not what title they held. Naomi copied the recording to 3 drives. One went to Elaine, one to Martin, and one remained with her. Jessa opened the binder. This is not the first changed code. 6 names carried the same login. 2 employees, 1 pension advisor, and 3 investors. Those could be corrections. All 6 were denied access, Jessa said. Daniel opened an archived packet. Page numbers jumped from 22 to 24. Another missing disclosure, he murmured. Martin removed his glasses. Preserve everything. No deletions, private calls, or document movement. Graham's recorded voice played once more. People behave better when they understand distance. Across the table, Graham reached for his microphone. This time, no light came on. At 9:06 the next morning, the hearing room smelled of burnt coffee and printer heat. Martin Kell sat, a recorder between his hands. Amina faced Daniel Ruiz and Celeste Rowan across the narrow table. Graham's chair remained empty. Mr. Ruiz, Martin said, when did you learn the plant could remain open? Daniel uncapped his pen, then failed to replace the cap. August. And when did the board learn? They didn't. Why? Daniel looked toward Amina. She waited. My wife's treatment depends on my insurance, he said. Graham told me that if I challenged the closure plan, I'd be replaced before quarter's end. Did he tell you to alter the forecast? He told me to classify the pension transfer as a transition expense. Was that accurate? No. The recorder's red light reflected in Daniel's glasses. Amina asked, Did you know 1,240 notices had been printed? Yes. Did you stop them? No. Daniel's fingers could not fasten the top button of his coat. After 3 attempts, his hand fell. I kept telling myself I was protecting my family, he said. But every envelope had someone else's family inside it. Martin turned to Celeste. Your account. She placed a typed statement before her and smoothed it flat. I changed Ms. Carter's access code at 3:17 p.m. On whose instruction? Mr. Vale's. Why issue a visitor badge? To establish observer status before anyone checked the file. You also moved her seat. Yes. Removed the ownership notice? I redirected it from the executive inbox. Celeste rubbed the statement until the corners softened. Amina spoke quietly. Why? Because I was told to. That explains the order. Celeste stopped. 20 years earlier, she said, she had watched another employer collapse in 6 days. Her savings vanished. For months, she slept in her sister's laundry room and carried office shoes in a grocery bag so they would not wear out. When Graham said disloyal people would be cut first, I believed him. So you made someone else smaller, Amina said. Celeste looked at the crushed paper. Yes? Martin slid over 6 altered access records. Was Ms. Carter the first? No. Who were the others? A pension advisor, 2 employees, 3 investors asking about vendor disclosures. Daniel turned. You knew? I knew the names. And said nothing? Celeste met his eyes. So did you. Daniel's loose button tapped against the table. Amina set her father's cracked badge. My father trusted this company to keep one promise after 27 years, she said. Fear may explain silence. It does not erase what silence costs. Celeste's hands withdrew from the page. Martin gathered the records. I am recommending separate findings. Coercion will be considered. Concealment will also be considered. Daniel swallowed. Will we be dismissed? That decision is not mine. Both looked at Amina. She closed the badge. I will not decide while you are confessing, she said. First, the board hears every name you helped remove. Martin stopped the recorder. The red light went dark. Then Jessa opened a second binder and placed it on the table. There are more than 6, she said. At 2:14 p.m., Martin Kell opened the second binder. 31 names filled the index: pension advisors, supervisors, investors, 2 safety auditors. Each had been delayed or removed before a decision. Graham Vale entered without knocking. Are we finished collecting grievances? Martin closed the binder. We are beginning findings. Graham sat, silver cufflinks bright against his cuffs. Then begin with context. Elaine read. Forecasts were altered to make closure appear unavoidable. The pension transfer was misclassified. The consulting contract involved an undisclosed former partner. Access records were changed to exclude people who raised objections. Graham looked at Amina. And she receives the company. She purchased it, Rebecca Sloan said through the speaker. You expect me to believe this is impartial? Amina folded her hands. Show us what is false. He reached for the binder, but Martin kept one palm over it. The Commission recommends termination for cause, cancellation of the agreement, recovery of incentive compensation, and referral of the financial records. Daniel removed his glasses. Graham's chair scraped backward. My father built Crownwell. Amina placed Samuel Carter's cracked badge beside the findings. So did mine. By 4:30, the board had voted. 7 in favor. 1 abstention. Graham's access card stopped working at the elevator. He swiped again, then faced Howard. Open it. I can escort you to the plant, Howard said. The board approved a final address. Rain had stopped. Workers gathered between Line 3 and the maintenance bay. The silent machines made every bootstep sound deliberate. Graham climbed the platform with a prepared statement. For 2 decades, I acted in what I believed were Crownwell's best interests. No one moved. Recent events revealed errors in judgment. Darius stood beside Samuel's old locker. Errors? He called. Graham looked toward him. I understand people were hurt. Darius opened the locker. It was empty except for gray tape and 2 screw holes where a nameplate had been. My father gave this place 27 years, he said. His pension correction arrived after we buried him. Amina stood at the edge of the crowd, her portfolio against her side. Darius held the locker door open. How many families were supposed to disappear so your report looked clean? The pages lowered in Graham's hands. For once, he had no sentence waiting. A silver cufflink slipped from his wrist, struck the concrete, and spun near Darius's boots. The sound lasted longer than anyone expected. Graham bent toward it, then stopped when he saw his reflection turning across the metal. "I thought control meant never showing uncertainty," he said. No one answered. He left the pages on the platform and walked toward Howard without finishing. At 5:07, Elaine posted the decision. The contract was canceled. The closure notices were void. Recovery proceedings had begun. Workers did not cheer. They returned to their stations. Amina watched Darius close Samuel's locker. "Is it over?" he asked. "No," she said. "Now we decide what replaces it." Across the factory floor, the first machine restarted, and every overhead light came on at once. At 8:10, the conference room had no placards. Amina placed one document at the center. Workers sat on one side, directors on the other. Between them lay the canceled contract and a modernization budget. Rosa Bennett, 55, entered in a green work jacket, silver braids tied back. The night shift had elected her chair of the Worker Council. "You asked for one voice from the floor," she said. "I asked for a voice allowed to disagree," Amina replied. Rosa sat beside Elaine. "Then you found the right woman." Daniel projected the figures. "Canceling the agreement releases $8.4 million. $4 million repairs Line 3. $2 million restores pension credits. The rest funds training and the reserve." "Who controls it?" a supervisor asked. "Finance, the board, and the Worker Council," Amina said. "No withdrawal without all three." "Including yours?" Rosa asked. "Especially mine." Machine oil drifted through the vents. Forklifts moved beyond the glass wall. Elaine distributed the charter. "Any denied access must be documented with the reason, authorizing officer, and duration." Howard read the section. "Security can still remove someone creating a risk?" "Yes," Rebecca said through the speaker. "An uncomfortable question is not a security risk." Jessa pushed forward the binder. "Access codes can no longer be edited by the executive office." Naomi added, "Formal objections are preserved in 3 locations." Rosa tapped the page. "What protects the person reporting a violation?" "No retaliation," Amina said. "That is what policies always say," Martin answered. "Claims bypass management and go to an independent reviewer. Confirmed retaliation triggers board review. Add paid leave while the claim is examined," Rosa said. Daniel frowned. "That could be abused." "So could authority." Amina uncapped her pen. "Add it." Only Elaine's handwriting moved. At noon, they carried the charter onto the factory floor. A table stood between Line 3 and Samuel Carter's old locker. Directors signed first. Rosa and 6 elected workers followed. Darius approached with a pen, but Amina stopped him. "You cannot sign for maintenance. I was elected. You are my brother. So that disqualifies me. It disqualifies us from pretending the relationship does not matter." Workers watched. Darius looked toward their father's locker, then handed his pen to Rosa. "Choose another representative." "We already did." Leon Price, a maintenance technician with oil-darkened sleeves, signed in his place. Amina signed beside Rosa, not above her. The ink was wet when the shift horn sounded. Workers returned to their stations with copies. No one applauded. A mechanic taped the hotline number inside his locker. Jessa replaced paper visitor badges with neutral credentials. Howard removed the red light above the boardroom door. Near sunset, Darius found Amina watching Line 3 restart. "You embarrassed me," he said. "I know." "You were right." "I know that too." He almost smiled. "Dad would have hated how much paperwork this took." Amina looked at the cracked badge in a glass case. He would have read every page. Behind them, Rosa locked the signed minutes in a cabinet no executive could open alone. 6 months later, the morning horn sounded at 6:45, and no one flinched. Line 3 was running again. New guards covered the old presses, the pension office had reopened, and a glass board beside the time clocks displayed every closure proposal, objection, and vote. Rosa Bennett stood beneath it with 2 elected workers, reading the oversight report. "Maintenance delay on line 4, she said. Darius checked the page. 40 minutes. It says 20. He crossed out the number. Then it says 40 now. Across the floor, Amina watched without interrupting. Her charcoal suit had been replaced by a dark wool coat, but the thin gold watch remained. "You wanted disagreement preserved," Rosa said. "I wanted the record to survive the room," Amina replied. At headquarters, every denied meeting request now required a written reason. Executive files could not be altered by one office. Witnesses received paid leave during retaliation reviews, and an outside monitor published quarterly findings without seeking executive approval. Naomi led document integrity. Jessa supervised access controls and kept the old registration binder locked beneath the new system as evidence of what paper could remember. Howard completed retraining, returned as security director, and began each orientation with one sentence. "A difficult question is not a threat." Daniel remained chief financial officer under a 2-year compliance agreement. He repaid part of his bonus and testified in the recovery case. Before every board meeting, he placed the pension schedule on top of the packet. Celeste lost her executive position. The commission credited her cooperation, but confirmed deliberate concealment. After ethics training, she accepted a non-management records role elsewhere. Her final letter to Amina asked for nothing. It listed 3 employees whose complaints had never been heard. Graham's termination for cause was upheld. The consulting contract was canceled, and recovery proceedings claimed much of his incentive pay. He no longer spoke for Crownwell. Once, he mailed a 4-line note to the plant. "I believed respect followed authority. I was wrong about the order." Amina read it, folded it once, and placed it in the same drawer as Samuel Carter's unopened pension envelope. That afternoon, she walked with Darius to the memorial case beside their father's old locker. The cracked employee badge rested behind glass. She had refused the offer to replace its broken cover. "You could have fixed it," Darius said. "No." "Why keep the crack?" Amina touched the glass. "Because it happened." Workers passed behind them at shift change, buttoning coats, finishing coffee, checking phones. The factory no longer stopped when Amina entered, and she preferred it that way. At the front gate, a newly hired technician hurried toward her with a lunch bag in one hand and an unsigned benefits form in the other. "Excuse me, who approves this?" "Rosa's counsel reviews it first." He glanced at her neutral badge. "Do you work in administration?" "Sometimes." He shifted the form, then extended his hand. "I'm Marcus." Amina shook it before asking his title. Through the lobby glass, the memorial case caught the late sun. The crack across Samuel's photograph remained visible, but the reflection moving over it was no longer an empty corridor. It was the factory, working. Have you ever watched someone be dismissed because others judged their appearance, position, or voice before hearing the facts? Share what happened in the comments, especially if one person's decision to speak changed the outcome. Send this story to someone who believes dignity should never depend on a title, and that justice matters most when it changes the system, not only one person's future. Subscribe for more stories about accountability, quiet resilience, and ordinary people who refuse to let power erase the truth. Your support helps bring forward stories where witnesses find their courage, institutions face consequences, and lasting change begins with one calm question that cannot be ignored.